Hello and welcome to CLEA'S World. I am Clea, and today I would like to share more information I received from the 25th dimension during my last BQH hypnosis session. I'll be reading from a transcript of the session, and when I refer to Lorrayne, I'm speaking of my practitioner who's asking me questions I prepared in advance of the session, and when I refer to me, I'm speaking of myself under hypnosis, which means the answers are coming from the 25th. Before I move forward, I'd like to thank you, as always, for subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. I really appreciate it, and it makes a huge difference for me. And it's just beyond what it does at the level of algorithm for YouTube. It's really a way for me to see where everybody's at, and it really just makes me very happy to have some kind of conversation with you guys, because otherwise it gets very lonesome on this end of the screen. All right, I'm going to start reading here. Lorrayne. All right, I have another question. A lot of people keep bringing up these crystal cities that are supposedly 5D that are coming down to this Earth planet. I hadn't heard about this for a while, but recently a lot of people are bringing that back up. What is it with these crystal cities? Me. So we spoke about this last year when we first started. The crystal cities are not cities. When we think of cities, we think of actual cities made of crystal, but there were accumulations of crystals, if you want to call it that, big accumulations of crystals that exist around this planet and that have been now covered through the resets. And these were centers of energy, just like you've used crystals for energy. It's a code, and these crystals had very high vibrational codes. They were here. It is not true that there are crystals being brought to Earth now. Again, we're not rebuilding anything here. We're not changing anything around here. Gaia is going to take off as soon as we take off, and then this is all done. But yes, they bring them up, of course, because one, again, they do exist, but also because there are recurring themes that go around, and this seems like such a fun, high energy thing to talk about, which it is. I mean, crystals are fun. People like to talk about this. Not only, again, it makes us feel like they're going to protect us because there are these huge accumulations that are high vibe, right? Again, going outside to look for that vibration. There is no vibration, really. We bring the vibration. We are in charge of the polarity. We already, as we mentioned, pretty much closed the gap, improved the polarity by a lot here at this point. So yeah, I mean, that's why they're bringing them up. But no, there's nothing new. Nothing new is happening. There are no new cities being built or they are coming to Earth. However, they're saying this is happening. And again, they weren't cities in the first place. They were just mounds or centers where there was a high density of crystals. Lorrayne. Thank you. Recently, Elena brought to my and Clea's attention a healing system or a system to identify missing codes. The book is called Balancing by Numbers. And it was by a guy who found his whole purpose was to find codes that were missing or distorted in the human body that resulted in malfunctioning, for lack of a better term. What are your thoughts about these frequencies and codes in this balancing by numbers system? Me. So the person who brought these codes through, of course, he was coming from a matrix belief perspective, like all of us up until this information has become available, that we are in a matrix and we don't need to be here. Again, we already said before, somebody might say, no, we've always known we're in a matrix. No, when people talk about the matrix, they're talking about this planet. They think that somehow we're in such a bad situation, like it's holographic here, but everything else is real. But that's not the case. So we recently discovered together, or made you aware, or became aware of the fact that basically the entire multiverse is not real. So he comes from this matrix belief. And so he's talking about, just like many talk about energy, frequencies, etc., even with biofield tuning, because we know Elena does that. It's a very high vibrational code. So the system that is put together, even though it is 3D, it is latching onto something that is real, which is codes. We know this. We've talked about codes extensively. Not only, we've also said that really at the end of the day, the most powerful, and we know medicine is turning towards that, the most powerful entity is energy. The most powerful healing systems are based on energy because everything is energy. Everything is frequency. So of course that would be the case. Even when we think of things that are material, they're just solidified energy. But as we know, some codes have higher vibration than others. These codes he's talking about, they're high vibration. The reason why certain codes are based on energy of a high vibration, just like the codes we reminded Clea of, like the 104, the 106, etc., is because they have a combination. It's almost like putting a key in a lock. They have a combination. There is something that happens behind the scenes. The code is just a combination. And then all these things happen because of you connecting with that code. So in that sense, it's found a very powerful system. But like we said before many times, if you don't believe that it will work, it's not going to work. So it's not about the system. It's about you believing that you can leverage the system to improve certain things. And because of what we're told you about the fact that everything is music and that everything is frequency and that you're very well aware of, you will tend to believe something like this. And you can use these codes to do the things that you expect them to do. It doesn't mean they will be infallible, because again, we do want to hold on to certain manifestations in reality. So we don't necessarily want these codes to just change our entire experience here. But if you use it for something like, say, I need to get over the fact that this one thing happened when I was in first grade, and there's a code for it, absolutely use it. These are codes. What is the purpose of codes? We already talked about the fact that codes are not just codes. There's always a purpose to it. It's like saying I use this key for this door and that key for that door. They have different meanings or different purposes. And so if you use the right code, you know, the right code is whatever code is right for you. But if you use the right frequency that connects with that issue and you are ready to remove that issue, because that's always number one, if your intention is there and your higher self is on board saying, I'm going to remove that issue, you can use the code. It will work for you. Lorrayne, thank you. Okay. In the last 2 weeks, Claire's had 2 friends lose their husbands. One husband died by himself in the house completely unexpectedly from natural causes, and one died in a car accident with his 17-year-old daughter, who also passed. Were they NPCs, or did their higher self leave at that time and strategize the body's passing? Are the husband and the daughter who passed in the accident going to the same place while the mother isn't, and are my friends NPCs? So when this happened, I was flabbergasted. I tried to take everything in stride because I know what's happening. You know, this is a comfort to me to know what's going on behind the scenes, and that, you know, really, first of all, there's no death and all of that. But at a 3D level, I mean, let's face it, it's hard. We want to believe in this game. We do feel the loss. And this is the hardest thing I believe we have to deal with on this planet, is this fear of losing our loved ones and the people that we know, and just horrible things happening. So I really wanted to know what was going on here. Me. So yes, both friends are NPCs. And what happened in the case of the first person who lost her husband, who died of apparently natural causes, is that he was already gone, and there was just no reason for the body to stay here any longer. The ex-wife, Claire's friend, was already gone, has been gone for a while. So this is just how, you know, he took himself out. At the same time, the other people, she was actually gone and they weren't. So they actually left because she wasn't there anymore. And they took their bodies with them, and they actually went with the aliens, is what they're telling me. And where did she go? Yeah, okay, so they're actually saying that she was gone a while ago. She went to 3D chambers and they decided to stay behind longer. But they actually are going with the aliens. This is why they left. They left together, especially to avoid that emotional issue with one of them. You know, something happening to one of them and not the other. So she's not here anymore. And the other friend with the husband, they actually both went to 3D chambers. Lorrayne, thank you. Senor Tee, I hope you know who I'm talking about. I can't really say certain words on YouTube. You probably are aware of this, of all the censorship. Senor Tee is expected to make an announcement, some big announcement that we're all supposed to be waiting for, and that supposedly we will really like. Carolyn wants to know what that is going to be. Okay, so I am recording this on December 8th, but I did this session on November 14th. And I don't know when the announcement was supposed to be made. I don't remember if Carolyn said, well, Carolyn said sometimes in December, or that's what I thought she said. And instead, Lorrayne said it was supposed to be the day after my birthday. Either way, so this was recorded on the 14th, and this is what they said. And again, and today is the 8th of December, so if it's supposed to be in December, this is still what's going to happen. Or it's what the 25th refers to, which is there's always some announcement that we're waiting for. So let me read the answer to you and see what they said about this. Me is not going to say anything earth-shattering. I wouldn't be holding my breath. He's going to say more of the same. We're doing this, we're doing that. And yes, the white hats are doing stuff in the background. Of course, he's not going to speak of the white hats, but we just want to tell you because there's actually a question coming up about this. The white hats are still doing stuff in the background, but you've also already seen that the US, and they're talking about the midterm competition, what we want to think of as democratic competition in the US. They just happened, and the left won again, which was a shocker. Who would have thought? All right. So the white hats are still doing stuff in the background, but you also already seen that the US were won by the left again, which is not to say that the right is good, the left is bad. They're both pretty bad. But we have seen that the white hats are mostly on the side of the right now. So the fact that the left has won another rigged, I don't even know if I can say that word, but anyway, competition, because these were also rigged just like the other ones, because this is how competitions have always been. It just shows you that, he can tell you whatever he wants. But really what we are experiencing at 3D level is that not much has changed, which again is the way we want it, right? So yeah, this big announcement is going to make it sound like something magnificent is going to happen. Again, it's more hopium. They believe in this. So let's be clear. They believe in this. He's not just saying that because he wants us to believe certain things. They do enjoy sharing some things with us. But if we're expecting for them to tell us what's been going on, and all of a sudden we finally find out what's been happening behind the scenes, we already said we're not going to have any of this. So no, it's not going to be what many are expecting, which is, oh, finally, he's going to tell us what the white hats have been doing in the background. And all of this is finally going to collapse and we're going to replace this and that. He's not going to do that. And they were laughing. He might just say he's going to run again or whatever he's going to say. And it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. It's not going to change reality. He does not have the power to change reality. We change reality. He's been gone for a long time. Whoever's playing him is not there anymore. That's a shell. There are still people behind him. We know this. But again, they're working on their own version of reality. From a 3D perspective, we decide how reality is going to play out because this game is not played at 3D. Lorrayne, okay, PayPal recently changed its terms of use. He said they were going to fine $2,500 for spreading quote unquote misinformation, meaning anything they don't like people to say. This company is a payment processor. It's interesting that they would be admitting to having coordinated access to what someone posts anywhere on social media. Basically, they're trying to introduce the social credit system that is already in place in China. PayPal said these terms were inserted by mistake and have taken them back. And Lorrayne commented here and then reinserted them. I didn't realize, so I will have to remove my PayPal account. So why are they still doing stuff like this since there are so few of the dark left? And have they gotten the message that this is not acceptable? Me. So why are they still doing this? Again, because this is what they do, okay? Just like you're not changing all of a sudden and turning to the side of the dark, they're not changing and going to the light right now. We're past the 12th hour. Nothing is changing in that sense. So why have they done this? I mean, it's what they plan to do all along. Again, today is Monday. It needs to be done. I had it in my organizer, in my planner, that this was today's objective for me to insert this language. So that's all there is to it. Lorrayne was laughing here. She said, oh, that's really funny. Sorry, I'm sitting here laughing. I'm glad she gets entertainment out of some of this as well. So the question is this going to go through as in, are we going to see a social credit system in the United States or not? It has already failed everywhere, even in China. We're not being told that there are not many people left. Therefore, there are many people supporting the system. So things are changing behind the scenes, obviously. But even at surface level, many things are changing. We see it even here. We get a lot of these bad news, what we consider bad news. But we also get a lot of good news. They just get buried under. But so things are happening. And again, we'll see it once this thing gets recalled, where we will be able to physically say, wow, stuff has happened, stuff has changed, right? Until then, we just have to look at the breadcrumbs that we see pop up every once in a while. So other than that, though, everything looks like it's still the same. Again, we just mentioned the US competitions, the midterm competitions, the left one again. Now, in your right mind, would you imagine that after everything that's happened from this administration, that they would win the competition again? Like ever? Because they've done so great with this pandemic. They've handled this so well. You already know from a 3D perspective what we're dealing with. Fraudchi, this is the so-called Dr. Fraudchi, is retiring, and he's supposed to be retiring at the end of December. He did go back and forth on their stuff a million times. Everything is crumbling. Even people who took the thing, this thing, are saying, well, we were fooled. There have been all these side effects. Does anything in your right mind make you say, yeah, I think we should vote Democrat again? Even if this was real, like even if we thought the right could change things, do you see? So it literally is just a show, something that keeps going, because we really don't want, and to us, it makes no difference whether it's right or left in place. Nothing is really going to change. It's not like the right would have gotten in and changed anything. We already said this. But so this just shows you, it's just a sign of how it actually looks, but it's not really what's happening. And so basically, why does PayPal do stuff like that? Because again, everything seems the same on the surface, but please notice how many people did leave PayPal when this first came up. And you see, we've seen it with other companies before. Things trickle, and then all of a sudden, they collapse. All these companies, we said before, they're collapsing. And a lot of these things they're putting in place is because they see themselves collapsing, and they're trying to accelerate schedules. And they've had a lot of backlash in general, tech companies, for the censorship they've done. What would make them think now that they could do even more censorship? We said before, they're getting the data. They know this is not going forward anymore. But even then, it looks like they keep pushing. So yeah, it's this game that we're playing to where it looks a certain way, but it's not really that way. PayPal is irrelevant. There are many other options available right now. Not only we're not going to be here that much longer, you're trying to push something that's already collapsed. Guess what? The second you don't have governments anymore, you're not going to have people telling you what to do anymore either. So PayPal is just a private company. It's that easy to switch to something else. So yes, have they gotten the message? They know exactly what's going on. They know it better than you and I do, because this is why they're pushing it now, because they get the data on what's happening worldwide, what people are doing. Even with, and I cannot say this name, but he is a doctor, a very eminent doctor, super awesome. His first name is Peter. The second name is Mac, and Call, and then La. So I'm sorry that we're playing apparently games here. I say these things. Hopefully you know him or you understand. I'm gonna repeat it here. So his first name is Peter, and second name is Mac, Call, La. So even with this man, even with this doctor, the reason they let him go on as long as they did is because he is that powerful and he is that impeccable. And the fact that they took his license, do you think that people, they can say to themselves, finally, we've removed another issue, but do you think it went unnoticed? Do you think that people in Congress, because now Congress is pretending to be the good guys, this doctor went to do another testimony in Congress. Do you think the people in Congress thought, how weird that he lost his license after talking to us how bad these things are? If they're going to be playing the game of being the good guys, this is not going to go unnoticed, is it? This is what we're playing with here. These things are not going unnoticed because the ones that are here are on a quest, right? We have intended, and everything is going to bring us to where we need to go. So no, it's not a bad sign that they did this. It's really not a sign of anything. It's basically expected. And we certainly never put it beyond them that they could do something like this. And not only this wasn't the question, it just shows us how they are all in collaboration with each other. So otherwise, why would PayPal know what you're saying on Telegram? You see, they're a payment processor. They're not a social app. I enjoyed this last answer very much, I have to say. At any rate, I do hope you enjoyed this video. I would love to hear what you think of this, especially the story with PayPal. If you had maybe an account and you removed it, I am usually very slow doing this stuff because I'm so busy, but some of the stuff does need to be done. Either way, I mean, we know this company is collapsing, so everything is collapsing. So at any rate, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.